Warning, this podcast may contain adult content. We're brought to you today by Altered Reality Entertainment, the creators of Epic Comic Con. Check it out at epiccomiccon.com. Valodor Harris, and welcome to On the Case Game of Thrones, a weekly Game of Thrones recap show. Casey, what's up?
Oh my god, you guys, it's finally back. The long night is over, and our watch has officially begun again.
I'm so happy about everything. So we're going to start every episode of On the Case Game of Thrones recaps with the most important moment. This is for Season 8, Episode 1, Winterfell. Casey, what was your most important moment going forward in the show? What was the thing that's going to have the biggest impact in the future?
Well, obviously, it's got to be that this entire time we've led to one big reveal, and it's Jon's fucking lineage is finally revealed to him by arguably the person he trusts most in the world in a beautiful, sensitive way, and he knows now that he has never been a bastard. He has been the rightful heir to the Iron Throne from day one, and at first he's upset about it. He's like, you're telling me my dad's a liar? He's the most honorable man I ever knew? Actually, I'm telling you that the most honorable thing he ever did was protect you and besmirch his own name to do that for your entire life. And guess what? You're the goddamn king. You don't have to bend the knee to anybody. You're awesome. And holy shit, it's going to have so many implications. I'm kind of scared about a lot of them, but it's a big moment.
It's, I think before this season, I didn't really think that it was going to be that big of a deal, but in the way that they positioned it, and I want to dive into this a little bit later, but just the stakes, it coming from Sam and the way it did with the heat that he had in that scene because of what he finds out earlier, like that, it really did raise the bar, and then also make Jon, make me believe that maybe Jon might make a decision to go the other way, because at the end of the season I couldn't have pictured it. I was just like, oh, dude doesn't want the crown, dude doesn't want the throne, he'll let Daenerys rule. Even when he finds out, I was like pretty just like steadfast in that position that this wasn't going to be that much of drama. But after the performances and seeing it actually play out, now I am a little concerned. And like what you were saying, it is definitely a point of contention. But I'm gonna say the most important moment of the show this week was that sigil that they put on the Umber's wall burning in that fashion that it did. So this is kind of going to jump into kind of theory territory as well, but I think that was very significant. And they've always talked about how the wall like had this magic in it that prevented the Night King. But if you remember from the first episode of this show, just entirely, the first thing they see is a spiral circle like that. So maybe these weren't just like messages, but maybe these are some kind of magical rune that like, because they built it, like they put up enough of them, like, I don't know, it's like a pentagram. Like you put them in the positions you need to put them, and you use the materials you need to use for them, and then that weakens the magic. So I'm thinking that maybe there is some kind of thing that this Night King wants, either in King's Landing or in Winterfell, or like this is the first time I've thought that they might. And I've told you this a bunch of times that I don't think the show's ever going to jump into the supernatural side of the books. This is the first time I've ever believed that, because I feel like the fact that a human lit that pile of flesh on fire, and the fact that they left that for them, I feel like that was something removing like a ward from protection on Winterfell, or something in that way that like,
that's really interesting. And I don't want to be too punny here, but the writing is on the wall, literally, and not just that wall.
I love it.
Not even that wall, but the walls where all the obsidian was in Dragonstone. Those symbols have come up, like when they killed the men at the first at the Fist of the First Men, they made that symbol. They've drawn two different symbols. There's a spiral and there's a circle with sort of a line through the middle. And I've always felt that strongly that because their power sort of originated from the Children of the Forest, and the Children of the Forest may still exist in one place only in all of Westeros, it's the God's Eye. It looks like the God's Eye to me, and it's the only place where there's a bunch of weirwood trees on an island in the middle of a lake right next to Harrenhal, which is also cursed. So there's like all these weird magical things, and the only character that's ever been there that's talked about the God's Eye is Howland Reed, who's also
Mm-hmm.
consequently the only person alive who was there when Jon was born and knows what Ned did. So if they need any further proof about Jon's lineage, so our moments might be connected that we're talking about. But if anyone
Well,
needs more proof,
true,
Howland's
true.
there. He's like, I
No,
was
well,
fucking there.
well, my thing is that like because everyone's been like, hey, like why is it taking the Night King so long to get to Winterfell? Or because clearly there was travel time for the Stark horde or the Targaryen horde to get from where it was in King's Landing up to the north.
Yeah.
So that does take time. But I for the first time, I really think that the Night King is individually going to all these northern houses. So like he's going to go to White Harbor, go to these homes or these places and put up one of those pentagram things on the wall and remove the magic from the north or something, whatever it is. I don't know if it's like, I don't know. I just really feel like that was significant. Yeah. And then that's going to lead into some magical elements.
That'd be really
that
cool.
get explained to us. Yeah. That was just the thing.
There is an inherent magic in the north. That's why the children are there. That's why the Stark bloodline has wargs in it. That's why Bran is a warg, and in the books, a lot of the other kids are wargs because they have the blood of the first men, and the first men lived in unison with the children and actually with giants as well. So the north part of Westeros does have magic in its roots, and that's why the weirwood trees are still there.
So. Yeah. Well, let's move from what we think was the most important to our favorite moment. What's your favorite moment?
Oh man, it's so hard. I think Jon and Arya's reunion is my favorite moment because it's something I've wanted since episode 2 of season 1. Like, they have this beautiful kinship because they both feel like outsiders in their family, one being a bastard and one just being someone that doesn't fit into the traditional gender role that is assigned to them. And they both love each other fiercely, and they both sort of like get shit on by the other Starks a little bit. Like Rob's cool with Jon, but Sansa isn't, and Catelyn definitely isn't, and Sansa and Arya never really got along. And I think the fact that she sees a lot of herself in him makes and vice versa makes that connection just so powerful. And I just wanted them to see each other, and I was so glad that like one of the first thing he noticed was that Needle is right there. It's so crazy. Like,
dude, we've waited so long for this, and
yeah,
I mean, yeah, and well, yeah, we've just waited eons for this, and the nice thing about that scene is that like it doesn't happen immediately. Like they get to build up to it. When we do our scene by scene recap, I kind of want to talk a little bit more about like Arya's emotional side of it, and it's kind of cool that I feel like this episode was a little bit through the lens of Arya a little bit more than any other character. Like I think they're really like I felt I was surprised by how much screen time she got, honestly, for the premiere. Like I thought Tyrion would have got more, but they really played up the audience's like emotional investment in Arya. But I don't know. I kind of felt like this episode was more from her perspective, and it's it's really cool when they're like trading the names of their blades and showing off to each other. Like it's incredible.
I think it's interesting because Arya in this moment between there's a bit of segregation right now. It's Jon, Daenerys, and everyone with Daenerys, including like Varys, Tyrion, even Davos is with Jon. So him, and then Missandei, Grey Worm, the army, the dragons, all that's like a different sect. And then you've got Sansa with all the northern lords who are very skeptical and very sort of like, we named you king and you just like threw it away, and we're kind of pissed about it. And we get like that this White Walker thing's happening, but we don't really understand exactly what that means. Even Daenerys says it at the end of last season. You can't know until you see it. And you have Arya, and Arya has sort of sided with Sansa because she is a Stark first. However, there's no one in her family she loved more than Jon. So I think because of her perspective being sort of not linear, it's kind of, she's on the fence about like trying to make it work. She wants to be on Sansa's side and Jon's side. She just wants everything to like work out, but she's also a bit skeptical because she doesn't know what Jon knows. So I think that might be why she's the perspective character a little bit.
Yeah, and it was very interesting that she stuck up for Sansa. Like that was a sweet thing to see, like in the conversation with Jon there. But the other thing that was interesting to me, and I'll just jump into this now, is that like she like, okay, so when she sees John in the procession when he's on the horse, like she almost wants to call out to him, but she doesn't. And I don't know if that's out of fear, if it's out of he won't recognize me. Like she wants to do it on her own terms, it would seem, because I think in her head she's just worried about the love and affection still being there, because even if he doesn't know she's a monster, she probably feels like she's not. I don't know if she thinks that she's a monster per se, but like she was so like closed off about her, like when she talked with him about her telling him
Yeah.
what she's done. He's just like, oh, have you had to use that thing? And she's like, once or twice. She's not gonna. I mean, I know you don't just like offer up like, yeah, I've murdered hundreds, but like she was like, I think really like trying to hold on to John, still seeing her as that little sister that see her with the same eyes. But
see, I sort of
she's
took it a
not
different way. When I saw that she didn't talk to him immediately, I thought, okay, it makes better for the moment to be a private moment, and there were thousands of people there.
I think
that wouldn't have been that great. But the other thing was, I think I kind of thought back to Yara in season 2 when she doesn't tell Theon that she's his sister. It's almost like when I saw her like get excited to see his face, but then like she's watching the way he rides and the way he carries himself. It's like she wanted to see who he is now.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because she knows who she is. And
Yeah,
also, like, I will say this.
Understand if he's still the same person.
Based on, like, what you were just saying about, like, she's worried that, like, he'll think she's a monster or something like that. What's weird is in this episode, I'm getting the feeling that in this season, so many people that have been a little bit more stoic are going to start being themselves again a little bit more. Which is weird because the stakes have never been higher. But we saw Daenerys smile and laugh and give compliments and not be stoic. We saw
Arya did the same thing. Yeah,
Bran even smiled a little bit and made a joke to Jon that he's almost a man, And then like Arya is like smiling and like flirting with Gendry a little bit. There's a lot of moments in this episode that give me hope that the characters that have been maybe a little bit lacking or a little bit one note are starting to open up again and be themselves, because maybe it is still doom and gloom in front of them. However, they are standing shoulder to shoulder with people they love for the first time in a long time. And they have not had that. Daenerys hasn't had that.
I think it is a little,
Yeah,
I think it is a little easier to be your natural self when you're with people that you're so familiar with. But on that, I want to move to my favorite moment, and it's by far the new opening credits. They are
so amazing.
Incredible. Like I was not prepared for that.
Yeah.
They look more HD than anything I've seen in my life. I'm a big fan of little like sets like that, but okay, so one, I'm just blown away by that inventiveness. I really like how there's like they've set it up as like hey, here's the two regions. Like these are like as things have whittled down, it's just like, hey, we're giving you a northern crest across one of these bars, we're giving you a southern crest across one of these bars, and then we're giving you an end one. And I think the stuff that's on the crests, like the rings, or the banners or whatever you want to call them, I think that's really significant, because like one of them had like it appeared to be one of them appeared to have like the comet, and like it was like the rise of Daenerys almost, or like and then one of them had like the fall of the Starks but through the Lannisters, like them holding the heads. Like they were really, really cool, and I want to see like some image breakdowns of those just so I can kind of like really dive into the theory like science on those. But I was just blown away by them.
Well, and the tiles, the wall being broken and the tiles flipping blue is something really cool, because you know that what they're going to do is that those blue tiles are going to keep spreading with each episode
and getting closer.
And episode 3 probably it's going to be at Winterfell.
And so follow it. Yeah.
This new intro, it couldn't have worked as well if you had done it for other seasons. Even though I'm sort of like, it's so dope, I want it for every season now. But it's like it has to be for this season, because I think it's going to sort of tell the story after the story. Like it's going to show things that are necessary, like the fact that we see Balerion the Black Dread's skull under the throne, like it's so in the way the throne,
and we see the crossbow still down there.
It's so amazing.
Okay, so the last thing I want to say with just this the opening credits thing is that it's doing a really good job. And when the Dragonflight thing happens, like they've done a really good job in this first episode establishing the scope of Winterfell, the scope of these areas, because I think it's really going to matter. Like they're not showing us the crypts of Winterfell and then underneath the Red Keep for like no reason. Like it's happening for a reason. And they're also like they did more work to establish where things are in Winterfell and how big the castle is. Like like
we know they spent more time like crazy.
And they spend a lot of time on it because one, I think there's going to be a lot of important story elements that are tied to like the crypts and then the other things. But
And the battle.
it just like like never before have I understood the mechanics or like the layout of Winterfell better.
Well, yeah,
And like
because
now
the
I can see
dragons,
people and I'm
we're
just like, oh
getting
yeah,
we're getting aerial shots of the North that
yeah,
we've never gotten
mm-hmm.
before.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Like, the only time I can ever think of it is when Bran warged the Raven that one time. You see it kind of fly over the wall and then spy on the Night King for like a minute. But that was the north of the wall. We've seen the north of the wall a lot. But we haven't seen, like, what does the area around Winterfell, like that beautiful waterfall that Jon goes to, like, where he used to hunt when he was a kid. Like, all these amazing, like, places. We're seeing more. And I think it's part because, like you said, it's setting the stage for important things that we're going to see happen there. But also, I think it's just a budget thing. We are getting the best Game of Thrones CGI and landscapes and costumes and everything right now because this show is so amazing. It's got the biggest following ever. Like, it's grown into this monster that I don't think we'll ever see anything. It's like when someone in the Night Watch dies. Like, we'll never see their like again. We will never see a show like this again. I swear to God.
I know. All right, so before we get into our scene-by-scene breakdown, and I do want to ask you one quick question, and we don't have to dive into these moments, but I just want to know, did you cry? And if so, what were the points that you did?
I didn't cry, but I covered my face in like, oh my God, it's happening. Oh my God. Like I made the face and the physical like movements that a girl at a fancy restaurant makes when she's being proposed to. Like when there's a ring in my champagne glass, like I literally covered my face with my hands so all you could see was my eyes, and I was like, oh my God, and my like knees were touching. Like, that's how I felt. So not quite tears, but close a couple times.
Okay, I teared up twice.
You bitch. Just kidding.
I had to do it.
I almost did, and it was mostly with Sam's moment. We'll talk about it later, but
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go scene by scene now, and at any time, Casey might stop me, and but basically, I'm just gonna give you guys a breakdown and run through all the events that happened in the show. So we get the opening with the procession of Daenerys coming into the city. We get the callback to Bran's moment climbing kind of on top of the tower or on top of the buildings, and Arya seeing the procession. We get that. We get like a holy shit shot of the army. Like, holy shit, the size of that army is incredible. Like, like holy crap. We get Jon and Daenerys on their horses in the middle of the procession there. Arya in the crowd, like I said earlier, unable to talk to Jon. Arya sees the Hound. Arya sees Gendry, kind of foreshadowing a later scene in the episode. And then it cuts to Tyrion and Varys, another callback to them being
hold the door
together.
Hold the door.
Okay.
Because we gotta talk about how everyone's given like dirty looks at like Daenerys and also at like Grey Worm and Missandei. And I thought of like that Eminem song for a minute when I saw like how they were looking at Missandei. I was like, y'all act like you never seen a black person before. Because I was like, are you serious? They really never have in the North. Like, are there any black people in the North? I don't think so.
No.
And then Daenerys is like, they can look all they want, because then who swoops in? Her fucking dragons. And people are like running like it's Skyrim. They're like, holy shit, dragons. Like, they're hiding and screaming and shit. And like, it was so amazing. And she just has this look of like, that's right, you might not like me, but you will respect me and maybe fear me a little bit because I'm a badass bitch.
Hell yeah. Okay, so then there was the Tyrion Varys ball freeze off joke, which is pretty great. And I also have on here the Grey Worm and Missy Missandei moment where everyone's looking at them like they're very foreign. Everyone flees from the dragons, which is hilarious, just watching them run away. And then Dany was like feeling herself a little bit too much in that moment. I feel like she was like, there was a brush that dirt off your shoulder moment that like, but she didn't do it.
Well, she puffed her chest out pretty hard, but Jon had just said I told you they don't like outsiders. And she's like, watch this, hold my beer.
Exactly. All right, we got Sansa on the wall. We get that first full castle shot, and Sansa seeing the dragons. All right, let's see here.
Yeah, all great.
Jon rides up to Bran very excitedly.
Yeah, and I think it's just very, very. They gave that reunion before Arya too, because it's not going to be as warm of a welcome.
Yeah. And then after that, Sansa and Dany meet up, and we have the season 1 kind of comparison where they're all kind of standing there in a line as the queen or king, the ruler comes into the castle, so that's kind of cool. And then Bran has no chill. He's just like, yo, the dude took your dragon. We're wasting time.
Yeah.
What are you idiots doing?
So there's two things about that scene I want to talk about. One, like immediately because like you see Daenerys like be all swaggery as the dragons come in, and so I'm like, okay, it's just more Daenerys. But then when Daenerys says that really sweet thing about how the North is beautiful and so is Sansa, and she has this like smile, like, oh my god, I'm gonna have a sister, like, because they're together, you know. And Sansa just looks her up and down like some bitch at the DMV who's like, you don't have your paperwork, girl. Like, go back and wait for your number to be called, and like. I just felt so bad for Daenerys because I was like, oh my god, how often have we seen Daenerys look emotionally fucking vulnerable? Since the beginning of the show, very few moments since she was like the Khaleesi. And so like, I really like that because immediately I'm like, okay, we're getting a different Daenerys now. This is like an in-love Daenerys who's confident enough to not have to be like lockjaw stoic all the time. Like she can be herself and still be a badass dragon queen. But the other thing is, it is awesome that Bran immediately goes, we don't have time for this because we have 6 fucking episodes. That's what I'm thinking this whole time is like, what the fuck are we guys doing? And so when he did that, I was like, that's great. But I was really expecting more of a solemn moment because Jon should be fucking terrified that the wall is gone, and Daenerys should be emotionally devastated that she's going to have to fight her own undead child, basically. Like, and that they kind of gloss over it a little bit. I think it'll be more real when she's face to face with it, because seeing is believing.
And well, then also she doesn't know that Bran has the sight too, so maybe like that could just be hearsay. Or like so she doesn't. No one knows. But all right. So next they have that call all the banners to Winterfell thing because they find out the wall, of course, is down.
That was a great moment. That was a great moment
too. Umber Kid gets sent out
because I was like,
Umber Kid gets sent out.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. What were we gonna say about that?
I was just gonna say. I was thinking this whole time, like, how long is it going to take them to take action about this? And they immediately, because like we've always wondered
about that action.
Are people going to believe Bran in his visions? Like, do people like they kind of like laugh it off, like, yeah, Bran's here, he has visions now, whatever. Like when Sansa introduces Arya to him again,
yeah, she's like, yeah, whatever like, Bran is now.
He trusts him now. Ever since I think the Littlefinger thing made it real, so now it's like she heard that from Bran like a while ago, like while they were traveling back, and she already called the banners. Like they're making smart decisions in the show. Because there's nothing more frustrating.
Not there. Sansa is making smart decisions in this show. I want to clarify.
That's what I mean. Like,
not everyone.
Yeah, like they're not making them dummies. Because there's nothing more frustrating than a character who's supposed to be smart and they don't make it like there's an easy way out. And like, you know, and people I hate that.
No. Totally get you. Okay, so Umber Kid gets sent out to go back to his keep, get people back. Lyanna just starts dunking on Jon in the throne room in the best fashion. She just pulled out the windmill from the foul line and just slams it in Jon Snow's face.
Yeah, but I mean, he had a month-long trip. He knew that shit was coming. Like,
this is going to be kind of like glossing over kind of like the whole episode, but I'm just like so out on Royce, like Yolan Royce or whatever his name is. Jon Royce. Like I'm out on that guy. Like he's just like he's standing by Sansa being sassy and like being in the throne room, like serving looks that are like no, I'm out on that guy. Like just no, he's garbage. Like I think I gotta say he's garbage. I hate him.
You need the Knights of the Vale, so you either deal with Jon Royce's salty old ass or you get Robin Aaron. Who do you want more? I'll take Jon all day.
You know, at this point, I think I might enjoy some
Moon door.
Needing a breast in his mouth, little feeble.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll say this about Jon Royce: Jon is the perfect name for him because he's a boring old fuck.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so all right, so Lyanna calls out Jon, and then Tyrion tries to help, and really just like does not stick the landing. He'd be like, "Oh, but BT Dubs, guys, Lannister army coming north." Like just a real.
Yeah, he landed that about as good as Tommen did. It was pretty bad. he just exacerbates everything. Like Tyrion is getting so many L's since basically since he killed Tywin. He has literally had the worst track record. He's like not Tyrion anymore, really. Something's off about him. It's weird.
Yeah. Oh, well, and then here we're going to get another L under his belt because we see Gendry in the courtyard unloading all the dragon glass so they can establish we've got a hell of a lot of dragon glass. And then it pans up to Tyrion watching him, and then Sansa, of course, being on that balcony where she destroys everyone. And that's one of the memes I saw. Just like, if you step on this balcony with Sansa, you're about to get served up.
Like, man, when she was doing that to Baelish last season, where she's like, no need to seize the last word, Lord Baelish. I'll assume it was something clever, and just walks away. I'm like, damn! Like,
I used to think you were the cleverest man. Just
Yeah, like the
boom,
fact
poor
that he
Tyrion.
believes Cersei. And see, that's the things we've talked about. Like, does he believe Cersei? And if he does, did he promise her something horrible that he's gonna do? But then we also know now, like skipping ahead a little bit, that Jaime's about to be there. So they're about to find out the Lannister forces are
Mm-hmm,
not coming.
mm-hmm.
So that probably changes things about Tyrion. And I think
Oh
maybe the
yeah,
reason he's so off is because he's like locked down a little bit. So we might get to start to see things play out differently for him once
yeah,
that
yeah,
truce has
yeah,
been
yeah.
violated. So he doesn't have to hold up his end of it.
Now, next thing is we have John and Arya have their meeting. We already talked about that. I like the line where she's like, "How'd you survive a dagger?" He's like, "I didn't," kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
that was just cool. Then it cuts to the Golden Company and like the boats, basically Cersei seeing the boats, and then it cuts to the interior of the boat and Euron's talking to Yara. We get the throne room moment where Euron presents Strickland
Okay, so
and
hold the door.
no
Hold
elephants.
the door.
Okay.
Because, yeah, no elephants is
Hold the
also
door
a
for
great.
the elephants. Is that what you wanted me to do? Hold
No,
the door open for those
no,
elephants?
for like 3 scenes before that. There's so much going
Okay.
on because like Cersei finds out that the dead have breached the wall, and she's just like, cool, that's great. Like that's exactly what she
Yeah.
wanted.
All my enemies are
And
about to
and
die.
Euron
Yeah.
having that moment with Yara, it seems like a throwaway scene. However, I really like it because it trips me up a little bit. I don't think we're definitely not getting Book Euron in the show because Book Euron would have cut her tongue out already and probably
Oh
like
yeah.
molested her because he like is a creepy sexual deviant. But it is interesting to have that moment where it explains why she isn't all fucked up, and it's purely that everyone on the boat has no tongue, so she's the only person he could talk to, and I get that, and it
Yeah.
makes a little bit of sense. I mean, he's still tormenting her in his own way, but I like that because we're not going to get crazy sadistic warlock juice drinking Euron, which is fine. I've come to terms with that. However, if she wasn't fucking like really fucked up, that you need a scene like that to explain it. You know,
Yeah.
she might be the
No, no, no,
ruler of the
no.
Iron Islands, and if she's not like literally her own version of Reek right now, we need a scene explaining that. So I thought it was good that they did that. Personally,
Okay, so throne room, no elephants. Real sad about that.
I love the face she
Euron gets
makes.
some. Euron gets some.
Yeah, he does.
Cersei in tears at the end of that scene, which I thought was really interesting. Either I wonder if it's like she's sad that this is the position she's. I don't know, because like at the end of that scene when he walks out and she's like, "I want to be alone now." She has the tears in her eyes. So
We broke that
I'm
scene
really
down in the trailer talk too.
Yeah, I know we did. Yeah, I know we did. But I'm wondering like more of it if it's just like
Now we know the context.
she feels like she had to whore out her body to keep that alliance, and she was just like,
Well,
there's
a few angles for it.
I don't
too.
know. I don't know how to read that one.
Well, think
Yeah.
about it this way, because when we were breaking it down, we were like, okay, she's tearful and she's drinking wine. We also know that she's fucking pregnant, or at least she said she's pregnant. So why is she drinking wine if she's pregnant?
Why is she drinking wine again?
And also, if she's tearful,
really...
she's more tearful after he says the thing about putting a baby in her belly, which could be that she feels sad that the dad of her baby is gone because it's Jaime.
Or she just had Qyburn like give her like a Westerosi abortion or something like that.
He already offered it to her, and she said no. Remember, like
maybe she just but maybe she got rid of it after the fact, after Jaime
or
leaves,
she lost
or
it
after
off screen or something,
or she lost it,
something like that. But people have kind of like shit on that scene. I've seen a few things. We were like, I don't like that she's the queen and says like, if you want a whore, go get a whore, but then she changes her mind. But think about this. Cersei likes sex, okay, a lot, and she does sleep with a lot more people than just Lancel and Jaime in the books. But also, she has this great speech with Sansa when she's talking about like how we all have our weapons, and for women, sometimes the best one is the one between your legs. So Cersei has always used her sexuality as a weapon, and it doesn't make her a whore or a weaker person. It makes her a stronger person. It's sort of like that whole like thing of like, oh, are strippers bad for women, or is it that they're owning their sexuality and using it to their advantage? It's sort of this like catch-22. But for her, I don't think she's sad because she slept with someone or that she like reverted back to something she was more than before. I think it's just a remorseful sort of thing because she's lost all of her family now. She doesn't have, and she literally, we find out later that she's ordered Bronn to not just kill Tyrion if he survives, but Jaime, which means she has fully lost every other Lannister in her life, and she's just waiting for this And why else would she ask the best killer in the King's Landing to do that, if not because she's terrified of the prophecy, the little brother coming back to take her life?
Yeah.
It works.
All right, so then, that's exactly what happens next. We cut to the brothel. You see what I did there? And dude can't even all these girls are just talking about like dudes' faces burning off. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like he's just like with the three girls and they're just like, oh yeah, that kid's eyelids, and I'm just like, what?
I know when she like hopped on him, I'm like, how is he even hard right now? Like this is like a revolting conversation, and they're just pretending he's like not even there. Like they're just at work, like la da 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 da. Did you hear the news today?
That's incredible. Yeah. Did you hear about that boy whose face was melting as they're like putting that thing in rotation?
And they're talking about how handsome he was before. Like those are all things I don't want to hear when I'm about to get laid.
Like you said, the mission he sent on to kill both Lannister boys, her giving him the crossbow, that's incredible. And then we cut to the pillow. From that it goes back to pillow talk with Cersei and Euron, and then that's when the cry moment happens. And then we get the scene with SEAL Team Stickless, and they strike on silence and they free Yara.
Very cool scene.
Yeah.
I like the headbutt too. You should have done this sooner.
And then the headbutt and the pickup is great.
Hold the door though. Real quick, we don't have to get really deep into it, but what do you think like chances are, like percentage wise, that Bronn goes through with it? Kills one or both?
Oh, absolute zero. Absolute zero.
See, I think it's interesting because people think Bronn is so loyal, but Bronn has only ever been loyal to himself.
To money.
And money.
Yeah, but
so, like,
couldn't he just ride off with all that coin? Like, wouldn't he think the Dragon Queen could beat them? Like, see, like that's like
he might be an Essos by then or something. He all he wants is a castle and a place to raise his kids and watch them, quote unquote, like fight over his fortune or whatever. Like that's what he wants. He likes Tyrion. He'd prefer working with Tyrion or with Jaime, but at the end of the day, he's gonna work with whoever the fuck pays him. I don't think he's as loyal.
I think he's too smart. He's seen the dragons in action. I think that he's gonna switch to that side and take the gold.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll come that far. I don't think it'll go that far.
He's not honorable.
And who knows that they even ride south with dragons? If they win, who knows if dragons are even left in the equation?
There's no way Bronn attempts to kill either of them. That's a weird setup. I'm out on it. It's like last season's letter drama between Arya and Sansa. Like this, it's just all it's like a time filler plot line. And with 6 episodes, like I can't have space for that kind of stuff.
My problem is I think he will try. I don't think he'll succeed.
That's dumb. No, that makes me mad because
I don't trust him. Like he's not trustworthy. He says it over and over.
But
he only
cares. But he always wants to live though. The dragons are gonna murder. No.
It'd be more of an assassination than like a battle thing.
I'm out.
Also, Bronn doesn't use crossbows. He uses a scorpion once, but that's it. Yeah. So sure. I don't think it'll happen either.
Out all the way out. Cool thing though that happened from the situation with Theon saving Yara and then like him asking to go be able to defend the Starks kind of thing or fight with them is that they have that fallback position on Pike, which is nice that there is an option for them to ride
personally,
out the winter kind of thing.
I have literally delved into the darkest corners of the internet and found every theory I could ever think of and came up with dozens myself, and I never once thought if they were going to retreat from Winterfell that they might go to the Iron Islands. But it's kind of brilliant.
Makes a lot of sense. It's kind of brilliant.
It's really brilliant.
Kind of
because, I mean,
also,
Euron said, can they swim? Oh, well, I'll just hide out on the island, which was obviously a lie. But it does make sense. If you needed a place, not necessarily to, like, wait out, because they're not going to sit there while Westeros burns south of the neck. Mm-hmm. But it'd be a good place to regroup, if anything.
Yep. And the other thing that came out of this is, like, Theon being like, yo, I'm going to go north and defend the Starks kind of thing. Beautiful. That fool's going to die. Thank you. Oh, not beautiful. I can't wait for that traitor to die. It's going to be great. Like it is going to be beautiful
circle,
when he has a spear through his head,
through
his face.
Look, okay. We saw what Bran and Jaime are about to have this conversation. You think there's anything less than that Theon's going to get? Like, it's going to be crazy. But at least Jon and Sansa, the people who are in charge up there mostly, will speak for him, and Daenerys actually. He has a good relationship with all three of them. So I don't think anything bad's gonna happen to him. He might die on the battlefield, but how amazing would it be if he died defending Bran or something? The people, because he was literally like hated for killing these kids, and he never actually did, but he could still save one. There's a role to be played. You don't put him through all that shit if he doesn't have something special that's going to happen.
Yeah, I know, but he's never going to be redeemed in my eyes unless he saves Ghost. Then,
Oh my God.
then it's a different ballgame.
Yeah, but if he saves Ghost,
then it's a different.
You're like, oh well,
okay.
Ghost is a dog.
That's the
so.
only. That's the only thing. That's the only thing.
Okay.
Kids. All right. All right. I'm going to start moving through this a little more rate of play here. Karstarks arrive. The three Stratooges, they kind of do their advisor chat thing, and they do the Davos, Varys, Tyrion. Like it's you couldn't want more from a scene with those guys.
I love
all
that
together.
those are like the wise like advisors,
the three wise men.
And I thought about how Davos told his son like that there's no surprises here on the Battle of Blackwater. He's like, Lord Varys knows what you had for breakfast 3 days ago. Like they respect each other all in different ways, but it's interesting how they're all talking, and some of them are like, yeah, we're here to be the advisors. However, young people keep us around out of respect. That doesn't mean they're going to listen to us.
Propose the marriage thing. Then it cuts to Jon and Dany. They have some chats about Sansa not liking her. And then, of course, they ride the dragons.
Oh, my God. That's the moment you've been waiting for forever. That's the moment you said would be like the moment for you, is Jon riding a dragon. You remember?
I do remember, but I actually got to say something. This is going to be a criticism, and I think you're going to be surprised by this, but a lot of the worst comedic moments in the show are tied to Kit Harington and Jon Snow. And a lot of the times I ask myself, is Kit Harington a good actor? Like, I ask myself this a lot, or is like just Jon Snow just cool?
I think,
and we just like Jon Snow
because Jon Snow, but I mean he was in Pompeii, so
as soon as they're on the dragons and they're flying, I love the scene. But the whole like clunkiness to get him up there, like just the comedy wasn't working for me, and something about like the closeness that he was to the CGI draft, like it looked off, and that's the first time in a long time I've been like, ooh, this is definitely like, see, because like it just like the spacing didn't look right, and it didn't look like he knew how to walk around it or knew like. I just feel like that was the first time in a long time I'm like, oh, this is a TV show. It took me out.
I thought it looked really good, and I was also really happy that Rhaegal looked more green, because like when the dragons are like north of the wall roasting all the whites in last season, like you can't really tell the
had
colors.
A little more black in Viscera.
Yeah, they all look kind of gray and black, and so like you can only tell Drogon's Drogon because he's so much bigger. That's the only thing. So like I like that they're kind of making sure you can tell which one's Jon's, named after his dad Rhaegar, and which one's Daenerys's. I liked that a lot. Yeah. But it was a little silly, it was a little, Yeah,
I mean that waterfall area that they were at was beautiful.
It had Ygritte vibes.
More than anything,
we could stay here for 1,000 years.
Yeah. I think more than anything, I could see the discomfort on Emilia Clarke's face, like because she hasn't been acting in the cold like some of the other people have the whole time. So it just like I don't know, like it like that little stretch kind of like took me out of the show for a minute because it like I don't know, like I saw Emilia and I didn't see Daenerys, and usually I just see Daenerys, but like her face, the way it was like contorting or moving, it was just like, oh, she was outdoors in a cold set and she hasn't had to like deal with that as much. I'm gonna be honest the whole time.
Yeah.
Just like,
the only thing I noticed about her face was that like her cheeks looked very rosy, like they were flush a little bit, like she was cold.
Yeah,
but she should look like she's in the fucking cold. Because Daenerys has never been in the fucking cold,
right.
like except for when that one episode.
True. So maybe that's the one thing that there's a visual palette that doesn't match, and maybe that's why my brain's like, oh, there's a missing Tetris block.
Well, like I said earlier,
the Drogon
a little bit more like a person instead of like omnipotent ruler.
We can't move on without talking about the Drogon stare down. Like
that
was pretty intense. Like he's like kissing her, opens the eyes. Drogon's just like, "Yo, fam, what up?" Yeah. And then we move to Hound, Arya, and Gendry. They kind of foreshadowed that earlier by her seeing both of them on the horses, and then we get the full moment in the forge. It would seem, and
I like that. I like that.
It just great. No, it was great.
Really solid.
You couldn't have asked for more. I mean, Arya playing Gendry like a fiddle was just glorious. Okay, so asking for
hold the door.
Weapon.
Hold the door for a second.
Yeah.
So 2 things really quick. When Davos and Tyrion and Varys are talking, the scene ends with sort of this like ominous look between Bran and Tyrion, and I think that might play into my whole like, there's something wrong about Tyrion right now. There's some sort of betrayal imminent or a heel turn. The other thing is, what the fuck is that weapon that Arya wants him to make? I couldn't really make it out. Is it like a spear that shoots out of a tube, or like?
Yeah, it looked like something like an unexpected
Like they don't
projectile kind
have
of thing. And
technology
so
like that. They don't have like air compressors or
yeah,
like gunpowder.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just she wants like a dragon glass that can be on the top of a spear. The thing that
They
I
could make
saw like
springs.
people say, because like she trained with the when she was in the House of the Undying, they trained with those sticks. So maybe she just wants something that's a stick to kind of defend herself from like weight coming
Well, if
on
you
her.
remember in the
But then like the
trailer,
reason
you
that it
see
was
her spinning something
detachable,
around, and
yeah,
maybe she puts her dagger on the end of
like
it or something.
yeah, that would be cool. Like it being detachable seems strange to me.
Except for then you can
Like is
dual
she gonna
wield.
hide like a secret poison in there and like kill Daenerys kind of like
Ooh,
that's why I was like when someone's like, hey, make this secret weapon for me, that gives me like Arya is willing to go to the like the final
yeah,
level to protect the Starks.
yeah.
So like if like Jon is in love with her and then Sansa's like, yo, we got to kill this evil Targaryen who burned our family. Like I feel like Arya's gonna like do that, and she's just getting the equipment if she needs to pull that trigger.
Well,
Like that's
I
what
also like that the
that's
Hound is down there, and that he's like the first person we're seeing who not only requested a special dragon glass weapon, but requested it so early that he's already getting it, and he's like all ready to
yeah.
chop these fuckers down because he's seen the Army of the Dead way up close
Oh
and
yeah, he
personal,
knows.
and that just tells me that like the Hound is taking this very fucking seriously, and I appreciate that. That's
Mm-hmm.
character growth right
No,
there.
no. The other thing I appreciate is the top tier pickup of Gendry, the the freaking blacksmith to Team Stark. Like what a solid pickup.
Absolutely. He also, and people don't,
Got him late in the second round. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like just a real solid
Well, and he
contributor.
worked for Tabo Mott in King's Landing, which people that didn't read the books might not know this, but he's one of the only people in the world who knows how to remake or reforge Valyrian steel. So
Mm-hmm.
if they are ever to make Valyrian steel, which I don't know if it's necessary because if you have all the dragon glass, it kind of does the same thing. But if he ever does make Valyrian steel, he might be the only person who can make it fresh for the first time ever. And I think it's going to take dragon
Mm-hmm.
fire, dragon glass, and steel, and the combination
Yeah.
of those things, and someone who's worked it before.
Okay.
So it could be cool.
So final things on that scene. The it's great because like seeing Arya smile is like my drug, and then also the fact that Gendry's still calling her my lady, like how that all played out was really like just
It
adorable.
was.
Like I
And the
just
flirting was
I
top
was mad
notch.
into it. Yeah, and then we pop over to Sansa and Jon having a private talk. They find out that the Glovers aren't coming. He's like, nah, fam, staying here. And
Yeah,
then
fuck the
Sansa
Glovers, dude.
again
The Glovers didn't
drops
answer
the
the
mic.
call. They make this big fucking speech. The only scene that I've rewatched and cried the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time is when Jon gets named King of the North. And the Glovers are a big
Yep,
part of that scene. And now they're not going to come? Are you fucking kidding me?
bunch of
Like,
chumps.
oh my god, like Jon needs to execute those fuckers. I hate them.
Yeah. Oh, and then Sansa again winning another scene by like ending it with the "Do you love her or did you do this to save us?" kind
And
of
he doesn't
thing.
answer. It cuts right off. It's
Yeah.
so good.
And then we're getting into the final stretch here with some of the best stuff that this episode has to offer. We get the John Danny thing, and the thing that I completely forgot that this was like an important thing that happened because there's so much and everyone's so interconnected. It's just like this world is so about the things that people do to each other, and like that mirrors our
The
real life and
threads.
like the little
Yeah.
ripple effects of all of the things, and like that's what makes this show rooted and real for me, and like why I love it, because I had completely forgotten like how crazy that is that Sam is the person who saves Jorah, and Jorah's most loyal to Daenerys, and Daenerys is the person that murders his family. Like that moment was so weighty and
It
incredible.
was.
Like
The only thing,
yeah,
only
it's
time that
incredible.
like I've ever seen like wow, these characters from different parts of the story are all connected in really interesting ways. The best time I've ever seen that in the show, besides this scene, was Beyond the
Beyond the
Wall.
Wall.
Yeah, like you talk
Yeah.
shit about the rest of the scenes if you don't like the dragon stuff or the White Walker stuff or how it works out, the island, but literally the conversations that happen on the way north of the wall, you realize, holy
Mm-hmm.
shit, these people all have like deep rooted connections, either through Ned Stark or Joe Mormont or the Melisandre and the Brotherhood or whatever. They're all over the place, or Brienne, but for Tormund and Hound. And in this scene, you get it in less of a comedic way, but this beautiful way where like someone we love hurt someone who we also love a lot, and like his
Mm-hmm.
reaction is so different when he hears about his dad versus his brother. That's when he lost it, and that's
Mm-hmm.
when I emotionally sort of also kind of lost it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but
Yep.
that's
That's one of the moments I
yeah,
cried for sure.
beautiful.
So yeah, we have Sam and Danny in the crypts at Jorah. He asks for the pardon thing, which is hilarious. She says that she killed his dad. That was what pushes Sam to go talk to Bran. Bran pushes Sam to go talk to Jon in the crypts. I love the I know I'm not supposed to be down here, and he immediately like hugs the shit out of him. Like that's
He
that
didn't even
like
know he was
that
there.
real good bro. Yeah. Like like him bumbling in, incredible. So we have that. I know we kind of talked about you know, actually I want to save a little bit of the crypt stuff for our next thing here in a
Okay.
moment. We get the Night's Watch and the East Watch homies, the Castle Black guys and the East Watch guys converging and meeting. That was Last Hearth.
Last
Is that
Hearth,
where they
yeah,
were at?
Umbers.
Yeah. Okay. They converge there. We get the evil summoning circle thing on the wall. I want to bring this up. Like Game of Thrones does like zombies for like 2 to 5 minutes in their show. They do horror or zombies for 2 to 5 minutes in the show, and it's better than anything Walking
Of
Dead's ever
course.
done. I'm firing
That
shots. Like,
blurred background
yeah,
with Tormund talking. I
yeah.
almost didn't notice it until someone next to me goes, "Oh shit!" And like I like, "Oh shit, those eyes are blue," and he starts screaming. Like that was so just beautifully, like the tension in the scene is just there,
no,
and then
these guys are
they deflate the tension out when they're like, "My eyes have always been blue." That great like joke with Tormund, and so like now you're like at ease. Oh, okay, they're not in danger, and then they're looking at the symbol like, "Oh, that's crazy." You still think, "Oh, the danger's gone." Like the scene's already been deflated, and then just when you feel safe, that's when they fucking snap that shit on you.
Yep. No, and another thing like this where these guys are masters of their craft and they really know what they're doing is they set up the Bran creeping on people. Like the group I was watching with, we all started laughing every time like Bran would just be in another position and someone would see him and he's just creeping
if you
on
stay in that
people.
courtyard,
But they do that
that
on
courtyard
purpose.
long enough, you're gonna run into a lot of important people. Like he didn't move. He's like, "This is my spot right here."
So yeah, I'm just camping out, gonna keep staring at people from distance.
You think he'd be in the God's way,
but
no.
that perfectly sets up that moment at the end of the episode with Jaime, because like that is an oh shit
waiting for an old friend
moment. Like you're just like, this is great. Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's great.
So that brings us to the end of the episode, and now we're gonna move into our next segment, which is and the Emmy goes to Best Person for Acting. I have a runner-up. I suspect we might have the same.
If we don't, it'll be insane. But go ahead.
Well, okay. So I'll say my runner-up is Sansa.
Yes,
like
agreed.
Sophie Turner. She's my runner-up. She is so embodied this character that it doesn't make sense to me how like
she is Sansa.
And that speaks to the quality of the person I'm going to give my Emmy for this episode too, and it's Sam Bradley for his Sam. Like Sam
John Bradley, yeah.
Like just yeah.
So amazing.
Why did I say so? Okay,
because he's also so much Sam.
Yeah. John Bradley.
John Bradley wins for two important scenes, but really
far and away.
It's not even close. It's like what he does with that scene with Daenerys, where he is sort of sad and happy, then really sad, and then sort of like devastated at like, what does this mean for my family? Like my family's alone now, there's no one there, and like what does this mean about this woman I just met who I thought was like going to be like our amazing savior, and we meet on these great terms, and now everything's different, and it leads him right into another really important scene with Jon, and I think what's interesting is there's two really interesting things about Jon's lineage in this episode. A, I would have never guessed in a million fucking years he would ride a dragon before he finds out he's a Targaryen. And which is really weird.
That's
but
awesome.
it's cool the way it happens. It's just like they just notice he bonded with it. And it's like Daenerys is like inviting him to go for a ride. Little does she know that like he belongs on that dragon just as much as she does, if not more. And the second thing is, who would have thought that in the scene where Jon finds out who he really is, that it would be as much about him being the rightful king as it is about should Daenerys be. There's a lot of doubt about Daenerys, and they give these breadcrumbs all over the place. But ever since Tyrion's been by her side, especially last season, there have been a million breadcrumbs, and now they're starting to turn into full-blown slices and loaves, if you ask me. The writing is on the wall that Daenerys may or may not make it to the end of the show, because she may or may not be as good of a queen as people think she is. If there's two options and one's Jon and one's her, I think it's an easy choice, and it's not her. And it's becoming obvious.
I actually, when we get into our theories, I actually think remind me to or bring this Daenerys like thing back up again, because I actually think that this moment with Sam is more important for a different reason.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I want to now that we've given out our Emmy, for you, what was the line of the show or exchange of the show, like a moment or not moment, but like like specifically like line or
Just
like
a
thing,
single
sentence,
line.
yeah, or an exchange between two people, because sometimes the best line is like two
Yeah.
things
Well,
that
I mean,
happen. I'll throw out
okay.
mine real
Go
quick
ahead.
while you're doing that. It's the Sansa saying, "What do dragons eat?" and
Oh
then
man.
Daenerys being like, "Whatever,
Whatever
like
they want.
whatever they want." Like that was a very like just I loved that exchange. Like for me, that was a
I
line
could
of the
say John
show for
talking
me.
to Arya because I love that exchange. However, if it's single line of the
Mm-hmm.
show, I will say this because we all knew it was coming that John was going to get shit on for bending the knee. And Lyanna Mormont is someone that
Mm-hmm.
we love and respect because she's so outspoken and so fiercely loyal and just badass. So when he stands up, she sits down and he says, I gave up my crown to protect the North. I had to choose
Mm.
between having a crown and protecting the North, and I chose the North. And if that isn't like the biggest, most badass, slap your dick on the table silencer moments, I don't know what is. I love that line, and I love that John never stops being John. And in that moment, he's not being
Yeah.
a dick. He's
No.
just being the truthful. And he says
He
things,
could
yeah,
backtrack. He could make excuses, but
he
he's
says
just
things
like, "Hey guys,
simply
here's
and
the
he
thing."
says them
Yeah.
truthfully, and they're powerful that way. And I love that line from him a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I could not agree more. Like, all right. So, final things here. Any other memes that you saw that like you really
Oh
thought
man.
just
I mean, so
embodied
many
the
good
show?
ones, like just Cersei being disappointed about the elephants.
Elephants.
Um
Yeah, that was one of the
yeah,
best things
like I
online.
saw this like funny joke that like I love when they do like Game of Thrones spoilers without context, and it was like a picture of
Oh
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
shrimp platter where they're all like spiraled away from like the dipping thing in the center, and it looked just like the last hearth symbol that they put
That's
the body
incredible.
parts. Yeah, I mean it's early, so like I'm sure memes are being released as we speak, but so many good ones. I mean, like I literally like I watched it twice, kind of almost three times actually, and then I went to bed, and as I'm like falling asleep, I'm looking at memes on Twitter and stuff and just like
Oh
enjoying
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
everyone else enjoying it too. It was 6 of the 7 trending things on Twitter were Game of Thrones. It was
That's incredible.
characters and moments and like the symbol and like everything. It was so great. I'm like, everyone loves this show and there's a reason. It's fucking phenomenal.
All right, so last thing, let's jump into the theory. So I'll throw up the one that I kind of alluded to earlier. I think the significance of I know that they've alluded to the Mad Queen Dany stuff like
A
so many
lot.
times, but I actually think the significance of the Sam moment with Daenerys is going to impact what would look to be the trial of Jaime Lannister next episode. So I think that that's going to that exchange and how she handled the Tarly situation
Wow.
and her seeing it affect Samwell in that way, like someone who had rescued her
Advisor, yeah.
most loyal friend or advisor or whatever. I think that that's going to impact her sentence on Jaime
Yeah.
Lannister. So I think it might be you can stay here for like, and I think that that's going to lead to Jaime doing something very impactful in the war. So yeah, like in my head, like because you think if it looks like it's going to be the trial of Jaime Lannister, and you can see Tyrion speaking on his behalf, but what weight does that hold in the North? You could see, or maybe that holds weight with Daenerys. You could see Brienne speaking up for
Yeah.
him, so that will hold weight with Sansa. But
I think it'll come down to Bran.
you know,
I think Bran's the only person that
yeah,
has been truly wronged by Jaime more than anyone. Because even though like
just being like,
yeah,
nah, it's
because even
cool.
though Daenerys is mad, he killed his dad or her dad. It doesn't matter because the reason he did it was good, and Jaime and Tyrion and Brienne both know that story that no one else knows. Those are the only two people he's ever
Mm-hmm.
told, and they're the most loyal advisors to two of the most powerful 3 people at that table. And I think it's gonna be really powerful. But I also think that the Sam stuff is interesting because to this point, the is Daenerys turning into the Mad Queen? Is she a little bit too much the Mad Queen's daughter or the Mad King's daughter? To this point, the only people who have really like kind of come across that conclusion and thought it might be true is Tyrion and Varys. Tyrion has been flimsy with his sort of with his expertise and his wisdom lately, and Varys is like a less selfish Littlefinger, like a more ambiguous Littlefinger. So his allegiances are sort of interesting but ambiguous. But however, this episode showed us that someone we consider to be pure of heart and very smart is now doubting her blatantly to Jon and saying, look, she isn't supposed to be our queen. You're supposed to be our king, and you wouldn't have done that shit that she did. You would have found a better way. You would have taken 20 knives to the heart for the fucking watch, because you would still always choose the right thing to do, because you are, in a sense, always going to be Ned Stark's son. And I think that moment is really powerful, because this is the first time that someone we really respect, truly, like morally and intellectually, is challenging Daenerys as a figurehead. And I think that's really important because we've never had that, and it makes the question way bigger and way more prominent now.
Okay, so do you want to get into any other theories or things that you think might happen? Or, I mean, because should we do like a separate pre-cap episode? We could do that. We could.
No, I mean, like
kind of allude to other
the
things
next
that
time
came out of
on
this one.
showed us almost nothing. Like, it's literally just that Tormund and them get there. He says, how long do we have? By nightfall next, like, or before sunrise the next day. So it's going, I think the episode 2 will end with the Night King showing up, and it's gonna be a cliffhanger ending. It makes the most sense, because if we're gonna have this big long prolonged battle sequence that we've been promised, it's going to be in episode 3. It's gotta be. There's too many pieces that need to land there. They need Jaime, they need Tormund, they need Beric, and they need Theon to all land in Winterfell before the Night King.
And Bronn.
No, Bronn's not going there. I don't believe that. I think he'll be in the South still. But because I think he's just there to like kill them if they survive. But they didn't say like go after him, go to the north, because he would have been like, fuck no, I'm not going to the north. I had just heard the dead got through the wall. Like he would protect his ass first. But all those people need to land there before that can happen. So I think this will be. I don't know. Like, I was just talking with my fiance about how much I love Davos, and I was rewatching the Battle of the Bastards episode, and there's a scene where he's walking around at night and he finds the burned stag that he gave Shireen. So he knows the truth. He knows Melisandre did it, and this is the difference between Davos and everyone else in the show. Anyone else in the show would have been selfish and furious, and they would have made a big scene about it. But what Davos knew is that the next morning they were going into the fight of their lives against insurmountable odds, and he put his personal problems and stuff aside so they could focus on the task at hand, defeating the Boltons. And once it was done, then he brought up to Jon that he knew what Melisandre did. She didn't deny it, and like he wanted justice. I don't know if Jon can do that about this Aegon secret he just learned, because the only people that know are not going to say anything unless Jon says something. It might ruin his relationship with Daenerys. It will definitely put even more strain on the already very tentative relationship between him and all the Northern Lords. What the fuck does this mean? It not only does it mean that Jon is the rightful king and that he's not a Stark, really. He's a Stark and a Targaryen, but a Targaryen more so. But it also means that Robert's rebellion was built on a lie, and all those men know that there were hundreds, if not thousands of men that they knew, family members, but loved ones, who died fighting for that lie that Ned Stark protected.
Dude, you said that the people who know aren't going to tell Daenerys, aren't going to tell the everyone else, the kingdom. I do not believe that from Sam. I think Sam could get mad enough to say it.
Maybe, yeah. But I think that he would respect Jon's wishes to keep it to himself for a time. If it was at least till after the battle, because it won't matter. If they all die, it doesn't matter who's king or who's queen. But afterwards, it does matter.
Yeah, and I mean, okay. So then, if Jon is going to tell anyone else, who do you think he'd tell first? Because I'm kind of leaning Davos. Like maybe he talks to Davos and Davos counsels him to hold off. But do you think he goes right to Dany to tell her, or like, who would you guess?
I would say he would tell it to someone safe, except for the scene in the Dragon Pit. He just says things like he doesn't betray people. He doesn't lie. I think he tells Daenerys, and I think that's the scene in one of the trailers where they're both standing there and she's looking kind of away from him. He looks down sort of solemnly and then walks away. I think that's him trying to give her a moment to swallow what he just told her. And it's going to be really difficult for both of them. Because they're going to have to figure out together, now that there is not one Targaryen in the world, there are two. They have to at least have each other's backs. And they already love each other, so it shouldn't be that hard. But like Sam said, you gave up your crown to save your people. Would she do it? And I think the answer might surprise a lot of people.
Be no.
Yeah. I mean, it's all there. Like, the foreshadowing is there. You know, Dany, since like basically the middle of the third season, Dany has always been sitting on sort of a throne looking down at people. I don't know that she's as humble as Jon. I don't know if she's going to take it very well.
Oh, no, not a chance.
So,
well then, Casey, do you have any other theories before we head on out of here for today?
It's just going to be a long week, buddy. I'm going to have to watch it over and over until to satiate me. But yeah, I can't wait to talk about the next episode.
Yes. Well, with that, then that brings us to the end of this episode of On the Case Game of Thrones. We were recapping Season 8, Episode 1, Winterfell, which is a great title for that. As always, we're brought to you by Altered Reality Entertainment. They are the creators of Epic Comic-Con. You can check it out at epiccomiccon.com. It's happening in Atlantic City, New Jersey this June. Check it out, epiccomiccon.com. Oh my gosh, it's been a long ride down our King's Road here, but I must say to you, Valar Dohaeris.
Valar Dohaeris.